What's your attitude towards the Kazakh language?
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. In really good English.
When we graduated high school, we didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really have any life plan.
Your business equals your mindset.
Yep.
Right?
Young people, when they are socially happy,
Yeah.
they're finding their passions in life,
Yeah.
the success will follow from that.
I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah.
So I am so happy that you said that because
Hey guys, everyone, welcome back. This is Jetil podcast as usually, and your favorite hosts today here at the studio, Madi. Well, all set, prepared for a new episode today, and
hey, what's going on, everybody? Yeah, welcome back. I feel kind of sleepy today, but
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
always happy to see you, bro.
happy Ramadan, by the way, bro.
Yeah, man. Happy
Good?
Ramadan.
Yeah.
You're fasting.
I am.
I'm not fasting today, so don't get angry at us drinking. Well, we have a
good,
special
man.
guest, man.
Yeah.
Please
today,
introduce. Go ahead.
we have a special guest today. The guest we've been waiting for a long time, and I couldn't lose this chance while visiting this HaileyBury school. I had to just invite this person to our podcast, to be a guest on our podcast, Mr. Simon Mills, the headmaster of HaileyBury Almaty, on our show today, on our podcast.
Welcome.
Mary, I'm absolutely delighted to be here. It's one of my great pleasures to live in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
I have two wonderful countries. I'm Scottish, and I have a second home here in Kazakhstan.
Wow.
So it's my privilege. I love this nation. So thank you.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for being a guest here
Yeah, it's
today
good
at
to
our
have you here.
podcast. We would really talk a lot about HaileyBury today because honestly, when I visited the school, the private school of HaileyBury, I was impressed. I mean, by the infrastructure, by what kind of people, what kind of students study there, what kind of people study there. Because while interacting with them during my speech, I saw they're super conscious.
Yes.
Because all their questions, they have like super, like the fundamental questions that not everyone
Does
would
it
ask
seem
me.
like-
Because
does
even
it-
adults.
Does it seem like they're ready for
Yeah,
the
I mean,
adulthood?
sometimes I even I got questioned myself, like,
Yeah.
what am I doing here? Like they know everything pretty well, So this was a very interesting thing with me, my personal experience visiting HaileyBury. So I think we could talk about.
Well, your visit was a good one. So we met for the first time,
Yeah.
and it was a presentation on the importance of the Kazakh language.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm on a journey here. My Kazakh is very basic, but I appreciate how important it is for the nation and for these young people's future. They are going to be different from their fathers and mothers, and there'll be much more fluent Kazakh spoken in the street and in the office. And anything we can do to promote that's going to be good. So I am seeing that shift, and happy to be part of it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Can we, if we just touched upon this topic, could we just start with it? I think probably it's interesting to know, why are you doing this initiative? Because I'm aware that HaileyBury itself is an English educational based school, right? So where this initiative came from, and why do we need to promote this Kazakh language nowadays?
Well, maybe a little bit of history. So the school started in 2008. I was not there at that time, but it was started at the request of a Kazakh business community that we bring across a UK school. Many children were going outside of Kazakhstan, and they were losing touch with their families and with their culture. And that's crucial for everybody as they grow up to be young people. So we had to start, and we run the British educational program, IGCSE and A-level. The target is to access a global education. But really, many of those young people are coming back to Kazakhstan in their 20s and in their 30s, and they want to start family here. They want to start startups. They want to work with businesses. And the whole thrust of the nation is moving towards a confident statehood. So in 1991, Kazakhstan gained its new independence, but I think it's much more confident. Obviously, recent geopolitical conflicts have strengthened the desire for Kazakh identity.
Yeah.
So we applaud that, and I think it's going to be a future skill that's essential for our young people.
Amazing. Because when, honestly, when I was there and when I was talking about the importance of learning Kazakh, I tried to touch upon the topics that would matter for them, that would be important for them to take a look, because sometimes when we talk about the importance of Kazakh language, some people, well, the majority of foreigners who live in Kazakhstan, they don't really see need in learning Kazakh that much comparatively, for example, with Uzbekistan or neighboring countries, because the demand of the local language there, for example, is higher. Yeah. So then the things that I tried to touch upon were like, you could get your knowledge there in the US, in the UK, and then come back here and become a leader in your field. Because with the education that you're gonna get there, and then you're gonna come back, you're gonna contribute a lot to the country.
That's right.
So then these were the topics I tried to touch upon. But do you think I could possibly motivate them on this matter?
Think you did. I think you did. I think everybody's contribution nudges the snowball further down the hill, and as you start to get that avalanche developing, and I think that's where the nation is at the moment. I think people are really ready for this. Some are more ready than others, but we're now seeing some C1 level, C2, which is kind of moving up towards advanced level. So our desire is for them to be trilingual in English, in Russian, and in Kazakh. And I think that's a really great thing to go into the world with, and no one can take it away from you.
Yeah.
Sure. That's great.
But what's your attitude towards the Kazakh language, specifically in HaileyBury? Like, does the situation have it changed like through times? Like it was established in 2008, you said?
Yeah. So we have the same amount of time as everyone else. Yeah. So 24 hours in a day, and for teaching, we have about 25 hours of teaching a week, and we've got to hit the syllabus for the UK exams, and we teach in English. So there's a challenge there because you're not speaking in Kazakh all of the time. But we reckon that 3 to 4 hours a week is enough by the time a child has moved all the way through. And so we've improved the amount of Kazakh contact time. We're, for example, teaching Kazakh history in Kazakh. We're now starting on Kazakh debating with the older students.
Yeah.
The younger ones we teach through Kazakh language and culture program. So art and cooking and song, anything which will give them motivation and extra vocabulary.
When did you guys start this program?
So they start at age 4, and a really interesting thing is, and obviously school starts slightly later in Kazakhstan normally, but the age 4 to 5 is a very plastic time in a child's development. So we have had many Kazakh children who come with no English at age 4, and by the time they're 5, they're more confident than their parents, and they're on that road. And we have some expat children who've come with no Kazakh in age 4, and at the age of 5, they're ordering the taxi for their parents.
Wow.
Or the Wolt.
It's true. It's true. I taught both of my kids English. My daughter, I started teaching her when she was 3 or 4, and then that base, she never lost it.
Yeah.
Like she still has it. Now my son is 5, and it's been a week. He started learning. He knows all the colors now. He can count to 10. He can say his name, his age, and say hi and thank you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like it's so fast.
Yeah.
And they learn without even realizing they're learning, because they're just in play with other children, and that's really powerful. Whereas at whatever age we are, we're struggling a bit. It's much more formal. The neurons aren't quite as plastic.
But your school started it was an additional program, right? You guys originally didn't have the Kazakh language.
We introduced it in more depth in the last 2 years and have amplified it.
Okay.
We've always had Kazakh, and we've always had Kazakh for expats and for local passport holders, but we've given it more priority. And I think that including more cultural events, and so we are benefiting from Kazakh Society, which is a group of students, and they organize the events, and they sometimes come with ideas that are more challenging. And I had a request to start a wrestling activity.
Wow.
I was a little bit worried about any injuries. So some things are easier than others, but it's all coming from the right place. It's coming from the students as well.
Well, that's good. I think it's a great idea because,
Yeah.
It's Almaty, it's Kazakhstan, it's sort of respect to the country.
Yeah.
The hosting country.
One more thing that kind of impressed me a lot is that when I was there, when I was talking to the students there, pretty much all of them, they have pure British accent. That's the thing that impressed me. They were talking to me usually. In other private schools, we talk to them, but they still have the local accent.
Yeah, you can say.
But in the HaileyBury, they all have this pure British accent, and that kind of impressed me a lot.
A few years ago,
I went back to home, and I was telling my wife, could you imagine those kids? They have pretty pure accent.
Bro, it's true because I think a few years ago in right across the road, Esentai Mall.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to the elevator and I hear kids speaking English. I was like, probably expats. And I look back, there are a bunch of Kazakh kids with a teacher.
Right.
I think they go into cinema or something. So they're all speaking perfect English. I was like, wow, that was right. I actually a couple of months before our podcast. And I was like, wow, we need to start something. Yeah, we need to start something now because it kind of makes you happy. It's like you start, you don't, especially after the recent Kazakh news, we kind of start losing hope. But when you see kids like this, you get you feel happy.
We've got to have. I think that's really powerful. The world's not filled with good news.
Yeah.
And you look at what's going on in a school, and you feel uplifted because young people bring that optimism and that energy and that hope for the future. But I'll share with you just a short anecdote. And this was during COVID, and I was heading up to Shimbalak for a ski.
Okay.
And there was this guy just edging towards the gondola, and he was maybe cutting the queue a bit. And I said, "Excuse me, there is a line here. There's a queue." And he responded back and said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry," in really good English. So we both ended up getting in the same gondola, which is a 30 to 40 minute ride up to Shimbalak. So we had lots of time to chat.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm really interested, but where did you learn your English?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I went to this school in Almaty called HaileyBury."
Wow.
And I said, okay, right. And when did you leave? And eventually he went to Britain, and he was working in finance, and he'd come back because of the COVID lockdown, and he was then locked in the gondola with a head teacher for 40 minutes. But we had a really good chat, and that was nice.
That's
to
great.
Yeah, that's
I play basketball once a week. The new place I go to, and some of your students go there to play.
Okay,
and
right.
So after the play, we're in the locker room, and then I hear those kids speaking, and then some of them they even speak English, to each other, so that they think that we don't understand. So
Okay,
and then I hear them. They're planning to study in the UK or in the US. Some of them are going to Europe. It really makes me happy because those things are so surreal to me because back in the days growing up in Kazakhstan, we never had those good quality basketball courts or
options,
places. Now we have you have plenty of options. Even the private schools, man, it's too many private schools to choose from. That's why we're having problems at with the schooling.
Well, I was earlier in discussion with some guys at school, and we have every year a number of people who come up with zero fees. They come with scholarship, and the school was set up to encourage a lot of different students to have scholarship. So they come as equals, and they target scholarships at universities, often really successfully. And this boy had won a scholarship to Kyoto in Japan. I saw him this morning. He comes from a very modest background in the north of Kazakhstan, and it's an honor to work with these students who are working their socks off, basically, to do a good thing. And so for me, that brings the school alive, and you have mixing of all different kinds of people.
Yeah. So the things that when we graduated high school, we didn't know where to go. Yeah. We didn't really have any life plans.
We didn't have any choices.
Those kids, they're 16, 15 years old. They play with us, and then they already know what they want. They're like, I'm going there,
Okay.
I'm going to graduate, and then I'll do this and do that. Oh my God, these kids have plans, man. I didn't know what to do.
Bro,
I
did
told
you
my-
study in a city like in Almaty?
Yeah, man, in Tastak. That's
I studied.
used to-
No, I
ghetto.
studied in Almaty too. You know what's always like surprises me is also that Almaty is so much big. It's so big that it kind of divided into parts, and then there are some certain schools that provide all the possibilities, all the opportunities. But
The
then,
government schools, like
Yeah.
even
yeah, but then also the private schools like HaileyBury
Yeah.
that can like cover everything. Basically, you don't need to worry about your future.
yeah.
And then there are also like schools that are not able to do so. And then what I'm interested about is that how important it is to provide these, like you just said, with a modest background, like kids study with modest background and achieve something. Do you think there is a percentage of motivation? Like, sometimes my friends, some of them, they came from villages, they came from suburb areas, but they have this motivation to achieve more and more in life.
Yeah.
And then sometimes kids from a wealthy background, they are not able to have the same fire in their eyes. I'm saying,
This
like,
is a really interesting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the hunger for
Hunger.
getting
the hunger,
on,
yeah.
and maybe sometimes a worry about what will happen if they don't get to the next level of achievement, that can be a powerful motivator. And I think all young people come with some baggage and some pros and some cons. And it's really interesting for young people to come meet from different backgrounds, because there's much more that unites them than separates them. So I would say you're right. From some areas of the country, there is a hunger and a willingness to commit to that extra effort. But there's also perhaps a lack of confidence sometimes, and they can gain that over a period of time. I find it very interesting to watch the dynamics of these different groups together.
Yeah.
They're probably all going to end up studying together. They may well end up working in the same jobs together, and it's really good for that social fluidity. Things like debating help a lot, and students who go out to debate will come together and they have a really good idea. Maths, the Olympiad maths, they know each other through that.
Yeah.
Or basketball. It does what different activities. Yeah.
Bro, have you ever visited HaileyBury? You've never been inside the school?
No, never.
Never
I had my office right across in the
It's cool, yeah.
Eastern Side Tower. I used to look up there, but never been there. Never been there.
It's all about the mindset that we have.
Yeah.
It's true when people say that your business equals your mindset.
Yep.
Right? Like the how to say. The mindset. And then once I visited HaileyBury, you don't want to get down once you visit HaileyBury, because the infrastructure is so
Exactly, man.
like amazing there.
Yeah.
Is that you really want your kids to study at HaileyBury.
Yep.
And then what I'm saying is that you have kids, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays. And then you're like looking for a proper private schools now. And then as you just mentioned, you're
We were thinking to move to online.
yeah, like how do you choose a private school for your children? Like, could you tell us
It
your
might
experience?
in front of Mr. Simon, it's probably gonna sound weird because I'm a very lazy person, but very disciplined.
Right.
Like I have my routines, so the process I try not to be late or in the things I do. Or so what happened is I'm not a big believer of you should push your kids to have high grades. Like I'd rather for my kids to be happy and socially attractive in school. I want other kids to want to be friends with them and want to hang out with them, because as Roosevelt said, one of the key skills is communication, because it might take you places that your grades won't. So I'm not a big believer, because me myself was not the best student, but I always had communication skills with teachers or the school dean. maybe if I missed classes, I was making it up by playing in a team or attending some other activities to represent the school. So I was doing a lot of these things. And unfortunately, now the schools that we choose, we go there and then we talk with the principal and then say, listen, as long as she likes the school, as long as she likes the teacher, she must have this connection with teacher, because she's very she likes to hug, she likes to
tactile.
Yeah, very tactile. So that's why. And then I told them, like, we don't really care about the grades. You know, as long as she's happy that she's going to school and making a lot of friends, that's fine. And then, like, because everything I've studied at school, I forgot. And
I don't think that's unusual. And we have a kind of an interesting overlap there.
Yeah.
Phrase that we use a lot is happy and then successful.
Yep.
Now, in the past, people thought you sometimes had to be unhappy to be successful. You had to go through some sort of cramming procedure. And if you weren't unhappy, you know, maybe there was something wrong. You weren't working hard enough. But young people, you know, when they are socially happy, they're finding their passions in life, the success will follow from that.
I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah.
So I am so happy that you said that, because you see, we have this, especially our generation, have this really weird mentality that you must struggle to be happy later, to achieve something. It's like, you know, we have to make ourselves go through pain, and then we can justify the good things that we have. But it turns out the universe doesn't work like that.
Not usually, I don't think. But, you know, I think I see it time and time again. A lot of parents understood that when it was the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
So their employers were all telling them, you're at home, you should look after your well-being, look after the well-being of your reports. And then they understood that it was really important for their children. And so we've got a lot of different well-being programs. At the moment, we're doing Super Spring, and we do Wonderful Winter. And we have times when we just get them to do some team building or some games, or go for a walk along the Essentai River. And we have a zero homework week, where they can just decompress a bit. So those things are important for all of us in society. And we're only just realizing how important things like mental health are.
Yeah.
A bit of a taboo topic in the past. Now employers are getting it, schools are getting it. And I think really, really important to listen to people and where they're at. So that's important. And I think employers are telling us they want empathy. They want the soft skills.
Yeah.
You know, and soft skills don't sound as good as hard skills because they're soft, but they are really important. They're you know, about listening. They're about communication, collaboration. So all of these things are things that AI doesn't find very easy. So actually, this is where our strength point is as humans.
That's what makes us humans. So now what we're thinking is maybe we should move on to the online school. So she's gonna probably study 2-3 hours a day, like the general education, and then she's gonna go attend some sport activities or arts, etc. So in that, because the environment is like we kind of protect our kids from the social media, from the things they watch, and we limit that. And then they go to school because it's a private school. All the kids get to have cell phones during their break, and they all of them have the apps that we don't want and the games that we don't want. So she still gets access to them.
Yeah.
That is another huge topic.
That's one thing that's really, really bothers me. The second thing is because it's a private school. Obviously, it has a tuition fee, and not everybody can afford that. So a lot of kids are coming from families that have money. Yeah. But having money doesn't necessarily mean having, you know, manners or culture.
Yes.
That's a really thing that bothers me, because she learned some words from some girls that says really, really materialistic things that I don't really like. So so kind of environment is really it's not actually helping.
No, it's tough. Let's take the digital one for a moment, because we live in a digital world. Yeah. We're using digital technology to record this podcast.
Yep.
All of us have got digital devices in the table or in our pocket. So we are digital, and our sons and daughters are going to be even more digital. Yes. So there is a reality about this, and we have to work with them so that they can self-moderate, self-regulate over time.
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely a structure we can give them. That, you do not want to give your child a cell phone too early, because they will not have the discipline to use it. So I think you have to introduce it in stages and structure it, scaffold it, but they do know how to use a device and work around it. So we try and introduce it. We have a school device that we bring out for certain activities. Then they will bring their own device, but use it when the teacher allows them to do that. We have a no phones in lessons policy. And then as they get up to their leaving time from school, they need to be able to regulate themselves, because if they haven't learned that then, what's going to happen at university? There's going to be a disaster. They'll be on their PS station all the time or whatever. So I think we have to graduate that, and removing them entirely from the digital world is a danger as well. With your other point, I think that one thing came out. We did a consultation last year on values, and the K word came out, and it was all about kindness, being kind to other people, being kind to yourself, adults being kind to children. This is not a wishy-washy value. It's something that has to be learned. And in COVID, some people forgot about this. They weren't in contact with other children, and therefore they didn't have those friendship skills. So we try and keep our kind of expectations very straight and very simple. Are you ready? Are you responsible? Are you on the road to learning? Are you ready to learn? But kindness is something that we're definitely aware is a key value. You don't see it always in the wider world. Politicians aren't kind to each other. CEOs sometimes not kind to their employees. But if you're going to be a leader, and if you're going to be a key part of society, that is a value that you need.
Yeah, that's correct.
Bro, but while looking for a proper school for your children, do you do this, looking for yourself? Like, do you go to school personally?
Wife, yeah.
You do?
Yeah, we would go there with the principals.
And then why, when classes, they organize this meetings with parents.
Yeah.
Do you go personally and visit?
Yes, I do. I go there. I don't like these activities, but I know that children's future. But another thing I noticed, that we are lack of good candidates as teachers in Kazakhstan. That's what I noticed. Because especially when they have English classes, I go sit there and try to listen how they teach, and I don't like the methods that they. Why do you need to make them write things? They don't care about grammar right now. Teach them how to speak first. Listen, and just listen, and communication first, and then the rest comes. Me and you, like, you lived in Japan, I lived in China for 10 years. That's how we learned all the language that we have. We never studied, we never sat down and wrote things. So I don't like
that's the first need people usually aim for. Like, I need to learn how to speak first.
My family, we travel a lot, and then every time we travel, kids are with us, and so she goes online once a week to study. Those times, like, she changed completely. Like, we fix her again. She's good. Everybody's saying, "Oh my God, like, your girl is an artist. Like, she can speak, she can this and that." And then she's it's very easy for her to find friends, make friends, and the communication skills are really good. And then later on, we come back. She goes back to school. It takes a couple of weeks for her to return to that attitude with strange things, and the environment is super important. So, and I don't know how to, we talk to the principal. She's like, "Oh my God, all of the parents are, our clients." So they kind of, they can't talk to them very strictly, because some parents teach their kids, like, if your teacher says that, tell them this, or reply with this. I mean, like, really harsh words, and that's so bad, because that's not. And then I tell my daughter, you see, this is the mistake they make. They treat the school like a client,
like a consumer.
Yeah, like a consumer. That's not the way.
Generally, we don't go to our banks and say, "This is how you should run your system," or to our lawyers and say, "This is how you should run your law practice." We have to have a bit of trust.
And do you have such problems or issues, or how do you deal with them if you do?
I think every school around the world has them, and this is generally because every parent has been to school, and ergo, therefore they are expert at this.
Hope so.
Yeah, and so we all bring our own expectations in, and I think that the key to it is, if there's an issue, let's talk about it early. So sometimes people arrive with expectations, and we are not meeting their expectations. They wanted to do it done a different way, maybe a more traditional way, and we have to talk about why are we doing that. So spend a lot of time in this discussion, and so do other staff. And again, I guess eventually, if it's not the right fit, we should part company on that basis, because you want people to be happy where they are.
Yeah.
But an openness to communications, not a defensiveness, is a good start point.
Yeah.
And a willingness to tackle things. So often you can meet the parent and you can work out why the child is as they are. Okay. So and I have sometimes had to have those discussions, about how we talk to staff, because if someone comes in and talks badly to the receptionist, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And it's not acceptable for a child to talk badly to one of the maintenance team.
Yeah.
We're all humans. We all have respect for each other. So that's why we come back to those words about respect and kindness. Eternal values, some things that never going to go out of date.
Yeah. The core values.
Yeah.
I have this question on my mind. I mean, we were talking about this at one of the conferences, and then, parents and children in school, these three figures at education itself. So then, what is the most common thing that parents argue with school, I mean, in terms of the system, and then maybe some approach towards the education? Because some other people say that our parents are not ready mentally for self-educational system approach, or no marks, or no.
This might be one thing to talk about. I mean, certainly the number system 1 to 5 is very heavily embedded, and trying to get away from numbers and talk more about the progress of somebody and their skill or capacity. Have they made progress relative to themselves rather than their peer? And that's a common problem with parents across the world, because it's very quick to read a report with numbers. If I got a 5, that's great. Don't need to read anything else. But it doesn't really tell you what you need to know. And often that can make a young person complacent. I'm at a 5, I don't need to do any work. Or I got a 3, I'm doomed. Troika. Yeah. So I think we need to have a modern discussion about this, and life is more sophisticated than just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, and then also, you don't want to make them soft to be afraid of these numbers, or it's gonna hurt their feeling. And I think it's like we're making them softer and softer if we're gonna go that way. I hate the chat group of the parents chat. It's crazy, because we have parents that they want good grades only. They say, please make him study, make him write, force him if it's necessary. I was like, wow, man. And we're the only parents that say, just we don't need anything. Don't hurt him. Just stay happy.
I think if you see education as a preparation for life, getting grades opens access to a place of study. And that place of study then opens up access to some potential careers afterwards. Thereafter, you are dealing with your ability to relate to other human beings and being a problem solver, and being able to supply things that are of value. So I think we need to foster that all the time, and not get so hung up on the letters or the numbers. That's and
right.
Eventually the system, it's sort of catching up, but universities take a long time to adjust, schools take a long time to adjust, and we've just got to be willing to iterate and go forward.
But do you personally think the perspective towards the new educational system here in Kazakhstan is changing, from parents' side? Are they eager to accept it, or it's still
I think I can see change just in my own school. There's a lot more global attitudes, modern attitudes, I would say. many more parents who are themselves English speakers, or who are having some portion of their education in a different setting, and they want different things for their young people and their children. That a bit like IDOS, they're giving the child more choice in their pathway, rather than you will go here.
Well, probably it's gonna work only for my daughter for now, because I'm kind of taking things soft on her. Probably my son is gonna go to the government schools,
Work
or
hard,
somewhere far,
struggle.
so he can take buses to I think it's good for boys, to be
You
honest.
want him to get this way, right? Like,
Yeah, I think it's good for boys to go through. Of course, not let him feel bad that he's not having that or this. Not limit him, and in a way that I think boys should go through slightly more,
tough.
things
Yeah.
than girls. But
Okay, then I have one more question to
yeah.
you, and to Mr. Mills, of course. You were aware about the recent events that happened here in Kazakhstan, especially in Semey and then other schools. The bullying. It's been a serious discussion nowadays in Kazakhstan. And then I think not only in Kazakhstan, by the way, bullying is like a super universal
it used
thing.
to be a part of our life, man. We
Issue,
studied in those schools, and it was completely normal for 11th or 10th grade to come and beat us and then take our money and that kind of stuff.
Normal at the time, and it's not normal.
It
wasn't normal, actually.
I didn't know it still exists. Like that. That's very, very strange.
I think we wouldn't tolerate it in our workplace.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't tolerate it for our children either.
Absolutely.
Wherever you put humans together, you'll get differences of opinion and power dynamics. And as you're growing up, that can be prevalent. So I think that any school can suffer from a degree of unpleasantness, and bullying can be creeping in. But you've got to have a very strict routine on it.
Yeah.
And if someone's not prepared to change, then ultimately they're putting themselves outside of that circle. But we wouldn't, I don't think, want the same things for our children of 11th or 10th graders coming to,
Yes, it is.
intimidate our sons or daughters. That's not okay.
Absolutely.
So I think the other thing that worries me a lot, and it's not a great statistic, is the youth suicide rate in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
And something is wrong
Something
here.
is wrong.
But it's not where healthy young people should be, and we have to give them a chance to really listen to them. They will have many more pathways than we had in our time. They're going to change their jobs more frequently. Some of the challenges are pretty difficult out there. Social media is bringing in the news and so on. We need more than ever this ability to offer friendship to those around about us, and nobody should be in that bleak place. Yeah.
Well, I think Kazakhstan, in every aspect in our country, big changes. We are going through really, really big changes culturally. The last couple of years, a lot of news about domestic violence, this type of things. Now the children or the education, now it's coming down to our tax, our our money transfers. A lot of the things are changing. So I think a part of me thinks it's absolutely normal for a change to take place now, and we have to go through some pain, and there are going to be some it's going to be some sacrifices. Like a couple of years ago or the last year, that domestic violence, the ex-minister's problems. I mean, that case is horrible, of course, but I think that thing brought attention to this issue.
It all comes back again to that word, respect and kindness. And he was neither of those two things.
Exactly.
And we have a perfect situation this week with International Women's Day. And I know that's something to celebrate, not just with flowers, but with possibilities and role models. So today we had a sort of senior assembly, and there were famous figures of women in science or in leadership or in politics, just to give role models.
Somehow we forgot our history. In Kazakh history, women were always special. The respect for women was different. I think somehow we lost it, and then we coming back to them. Even our tribes, this tribal culture that we have. We have some, you know, the meaning of Jetata, right? The forefathers, the 7 forefathers. There are plenty of the names that actually are female names because the father dies, the grandmother stays, and then she fights with them. She takes care of the family like a man, so they take her name.
Wow.
Some great role modeling there.
Yeah. So, well,
Yeah.
One of the things I think I'm most impressed with the traditional Kazakh approach is the instinctive hospitality and that wonderful opening, you know, and being able to share a meal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we can learn through Kazakh culture and Kazakh history, and the wisdom of the ancients. It doesn't diminish over time, but it does need to be remembered.
how long have you been in Kazakhstan now?
So this is my 5th year.
5th year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're almost local now.
So it's been a good journey and easier years at the moment because I started in the pandemic, and then we had some the riots in the city, which were really a challenge, and now we're into a different time. But
Not the easiest times.
I've enjoyed each year. So yeah, so far.
Well, we're glad that you made it through and had the patience to go through all these challenges in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot, you know, and that's the thing we have to remember is that the being a student is 4 to 18, but we're still students when we leave for university, in our work. I'm going to be a lifelong learner, as are you, and as are you. So you know, we have to keep learning new skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How would you rate Kazakhstan?
Oh,
You get to pick. You can have let's have traditional Soviet style 5 pointers, like out of 5 points.
Well, for environment, it's coming to 5. You know, for someone who's coming on tourism, it's right up there in the CNN top 10 list at the moment.
How about food?
Food in Kazakhstan, certainly in Almaty, is great. I mean, there's so many dining options. I'm not yet sold on Kurt, but I will get there over time.
Takes time.
Do you remember we had a guest from Scotland? Tara. She was telling us about the haggis.
Haggis.
Haggis,
traditional
Yeah.
Scottish.
That's one thing that makes us very close. The haggis,
Yeah, and then it's kind of similar.
That's right. Yep. It's Scotland and Kazakhstan have so many linkages. We have clans.
Yeah.
You have tribal identity, and hospitality has always been a very important thing in the Scots.
Oh.
Same here. You know, the pride in your landscape and in your place is very strong in my homeland, and it is here. So I think I can see where the join points
That
are.
might be the lamp connection.
Could be the lamb or the beef. Yeah.
All right,
Great.
Mighty Man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sure. We are running out of time, but it was great talking to you, Mr. Mills.
Thank you.
Thank you so
knowing
much.
your opinion on all the things that we talked about here today. Possibly we could maybe in the future organize one more podcast, maybe a longer.
Yeah, man,
so
a
that we
longer
could
format.
talk more about the things that we are curious about, not only on
If we don't move from Kazakhstan, we really hope to go to your school.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I think the best advice I could give to choosing a school is just go and spend time, and you don't have to ask any questions. Just use your eyes. Are the children smiling? You know, you can just listen to them. You'll get an impression if it's a happy place and a prosperous place, a successful place. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, osmosis.
Thank you so much.
And really appreciate your contribution to the Kazakh language. Actually, the thing you were doing, the project is just brilliant.
Thank you.
Well,
This is our contribution.
Yeah.
For, for the English language that we're doing.
Thank you.
By the way,
we have our
one of the mission.
we have a president that speaks a good English, and then we have a lot of the Kazakh youth growing up who speaks English, especially from your school.
Sure.
Now this is our part.
Great.
We're trying to show them Madi as a role model.
Yeah.
Well, in our podcast, he's a good cop. I'm the bad cop.
Okay.
I make the jokes, and he ends up being the good guy who doesn't
Anchor.
tease anyone. All right. Thank you. Thank you
you,
for your
Aidos.
time.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Mills.
Maddie. Okay. It's very kind.
Hey guys, thank you for being with us. That was Jetil podcast again. Subscribe to our channel. Please put the thumbs up and then write your comments down below. See you at the next episodes. See you soon.
Cheers.
Goodbye.